please give a warm welcome to Dr. Tamara Dunn.
Good morning. Good morning to the PBS students, to the faculty, to the administration, and of course, parents. So, I was asked to talk about partnership today. And, you know, this is the last in a series of talks. I'm going to revisit something from Dr. Erickson, the PBS triangle. So, we talked about trust, we talked about belonging, and we talked about purpose. And then, second grade teachers, Miss Samuelson and Miss Kreidel, also talked about partnership. And I'm going to do the same. So welcome and thanks for listening. I was forced to think about, thank you. I was forced to think about some of the partnerships that I have in my life. And of course, some of them are pretty similar to the ones that you guys experience as well. So let's talk a little bit about it. First, there's family. In our families, we have partnerships between spouses, between partners, between siblings, sometimes even between pets. So I'm happy to report that the partnership between baby Quincy and puppy Casey I form very meaningful partnerships with my patients, as well as with nurses, and with some of my colleagues, other doctors, and doctors in training. We've talked about teachers before. Our teachers are some of the most important partners that we have here in the PBS community, as they partner with you guys, the students, with the parents, with the administration, and with each other, as you heard about last week. And I think this is one you guys can all relate to. Our friends are our partners. Partnership, after all, it's give and take. And we've already established that we're stronger when we're together than when we're alone. So I've been taking up a new sport for the last couple years. I started playing singles tennis. And as of late, I've really had to work on my partnership skills because I've been playing doubles. And while I may see myself a little like that, okay, there we are. We're not quite at the Williams sister level yet, but we're working on it. So a lot of times people have partnerships in sports, and I'm sure a lot of you experience that. But there's one partnership that we all share, and I want you to think for just a minute. I'm going to go deep here, so bear with me. I'm going to give you a hint. So that's the partnership within. The partnership we have with ourselves. It's your voice, exactly. That's a very important partnership, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. So I'm talking to you using my voice. I'm speaking. It's a way to communicate, right? Yeah, we have conversations with our friends, with our teachers. That's the simplest way we can use our voices. And it's important because even when you can't speak, you use sign language or some other way to communicate, right? Yeah. How else can we use our voices? We can use our voice as an instrument. How many of you guys like to sing? Oh, connection. I have to tell you, I know Dr. Erickson shares this with me. We love to use our voices as an instrument. Our voices to make music. Music is so beautiful. It can bring us joy. It can move people. Such an important part of my life. So the picture you see up there is of one of my vocal idols. Her name is Ella Fitzgerald, and she's one of the best voices that's ever been on this earth. And the quote says, "The only thing better than singing is more singing." I happen to agree with that. Speaking of music, blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these sunken eyes and learn to see. all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be free. So, thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Some people may think that was just a shameless plug to get to sing for you. You be the judge. But I want to talk a little bit more about that song. That song is called Blackbird, and it was written by Paul McCartney. Now, you guys had a Beatles, ding, ding, ding. You had a Beatles unit last year, right? So I figured you would connect with that song a little bit. Was it the year before? Okay. So, while Paul McCartney made beautiful music with his voice, he was actually using his voice in a different way, because that song was written in response to the race relations in the United States in the 1960s. And there have been lots of other singers who have used their voices to talk about things that were going on in the world, using their voices as a form of protest. So John Lennon did that, another Beatle. Aretha Franklin did that. We know we just lost Aretha Franklin, but she asked for RESPECT, respect. Marvin Gaye wrote an entire album that talked about what was going on in the world at a certain time when things were not very fair and things didn't look so great. And that brings me to another way we can use our voices. We can use the voice as activist. An activist is someone who speaks out for change, speaks out for what is right. So I urge all of you, speak up for yourself. Speak up for your friends. An activist speaks up for change. These are all the things that we do as activists. So let's go back to talking about your voice as your partner, your voice as an activist. Some important points to think about. Your voice will always be with you. Importantly, no one, and I mean no one, can take your voice away. And lastly, your voice gives you power. We all have power in this room. So that brings us all back to Ariel. How is she going to put this together? So, just to recap, in The Little Mermaid, there are some great songs. I mean, I love Sebastian's song, Under the Sea, as much as the rest of you. However, let's talk about Ariel. She literally gives her voice away for a man. That's a different talk altogether. And so she's not my favorite Disney character. So one thing I will say to you guys, I challenge you all to hold on to your power. Keep the partnership with your own voice very strong. Trust yourselves. Speak up for yourselves. Speak up for your friends. Don't be like Ariel.